food for the soul, and so if we really fancy a burger, we'll have a burger, right? Nothing wrong with that. The problem is, in my opinion, is you might always fancy a burger just because you've been putting that in your body, so now your body's craving more of it. It does not mean it's good for your soul. It doesn't mean it's good for you. It just means your chemicals in your body are now getting used to sugar, so it wants more of it.
Absolutely.
So there's no point in people going, oh yeah, well just eat whatever you feel, because you might feel like constant junk food because it's all you know.
This is such a perfect example.
So how do you...
That's exactly what we're talking about, just on a smaller level, of that if we haven't done the work to cleanse the body and understand our system, not based off like some fad, like, okay, now I'm going to be paleo, now I'm going to be vegan, now I'm going to be... Like, actually, like, breaking down all of the belief system, getting in tune with your body, doing the work to cleanse, like doing a 21-day sugar fast, or like, you know, ridding yourself of like the things that make you crave different things. This is not even your truth. It's not even your body talking to you.
Right,
but
exactly.
it's like, you know,
brain monkey.
100%. And it's like, if we haven't done that, then we can't trust what we're craving. It's like, it's not a true desire. All of a sudden, I do want that sexy guy over there over like the boyfriend that I'm committed to. I want the chocolate cake and the pizza over the salad, right? Because we're not in alignment, and we're not clear and cleansed, and like, you know,
in the first place, to know what our body deeply needs, because we're not connected to it.
100%. And that's just like a micro version of the macrocosm of what we're talking about. Exactly. So it's a really beautiful example.
That was a great explanation.
I've learned so much around food. Food was my massive thing. I went through a short-lived eating disorder.
Me too.
Which was the
bulimia,
best thing. Yes, bulimia.
Yeah,
no, but
well,
it
you
was
were
like now, again, we're like, you say congratulations.
Congratulations.
Oh,
thank you. Congratulations.
Because it was like the awakening of all awakenings, right? Like, for me, it was the first realization of like, oh my God, I've got a voice in my head telling me like, vomit, you're evil, you're fat. And this other one that was like this innocent, beautiful, like came from such a wholesome upbringing, being like, no, you're wonderful, and don't do that to yourself. And I was like, okay, there's more than just me, whoever I thought I was in here. And I was like doing yoga and looking at myself in the mirror and listening to the dialogue and doing a pose and listening to these two voices. And it was the first moment that I realized, oh my God, like, I'm witnessing all of this. There's more going on here, you know?
And it showed, well, I'm sure it showed you the priorities of like, at that time, now I couldn't think of anything I would rather do less than putting my body in malnutrition. And, you know, I would so much rather feel, I'm completely wanting to put goodness in, so my organs are good and so my internal's good. But back then was a total reflection of how unhealthy my brain was. Because I can't believe sometimes that for 8 years, mine wasn't as short-lived, unfortunately, but for 8 years, I was under the illusion that it was clearly more important to me at that time to look good and to fit in a certain way than to actually nourish my body, which is so, that belief system is so, delusional.
It's so hard when you're young though.
Well, the way you are with anything is the way you are with everything.
How you do one thing is
how you do everything. And
Yes.
so I would know, I could tell you, even up until now, how I am in my life based off my plate. Or based off the present moment, that I can sit and say a little blessing, gratitude, or I've home cooked it and I make it and I chew every bite. Like, that would be the ultimate. But like eating on the car on the way here in traffic, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so reflective of how I am in life right now. Like, it's always been my biggest teacher, because it was from the very beginning.
I have
So
never
you're
considered
saying
that food and your relationship with food as a teacher.
And it could be, what's your biggest teacher? Relationship?
I think for me, my biggest teacher, that's really interesting. Probably my decisions, reflection. Like, that's how I made my biggest lessons, is going back and going, why did you make that decision? Oh, it was because of this. Or why did you see things from that point of view when you were younger? Because now you have so much more self-worth. What happened back then? So for me, I think, and obviously my friends and people, and for sure relationships, but I think my decisions and reflection, hindsight's always been my biggest teacher, because it's always been my mistakes.
But what makes you reflect on things? Is there a certain degree of suffering in some regard?
Oh, probably. Yeah, I'm sure there's some inner sadness that causes me to reflect, and I like being aware in general because I do want to be better.
Yes.
Wait, is that what you're asking?
No, yeah, I always know. I
You're
always,
so cute.
I always
You're
wonder
so
about
cute.
this. No, I love it. I love it
You're
because
so honest and just sort of like.
No, it's beautiful,
Yeah.
and
I've
she
never
is
been
so
asked this.
beautiful
Oh,
and
I
honest and
know.
gorgeous. I'm just like, I love
Yeah.
this so much. I've thought anyone that's on a spiritual path on their way to healing or has some sort of, you know, being called to their knees, so to speak, like to surrender because like I've got to get out of the way, I often think comes from a deep level of suffering on some degree. But it's interesting because my ex-husband actually, like I'd always be like, yeah, but what's the thing that like makes you all of a sudden become aware or like makes you suffer so much that you're like, okay, I've got to hand it
Change
over.
like
Or
in your life where you switch and you're like,
there
I'm gonna be
must, like
self-aware.
what's the
Yes.
awakening or what was the
Oh.
suffering? But sometimes
can
it
tell you
doesn't
that.
always have to come from suffering. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Tell.
Go on.
That's definitely when I was younger. There was probably a few things when I was younger, but when I moved to LA, that was the one point in my life where I got to go crazy. I never was crazy as a kid. I was never crazy in college because I had a lot of other things on my plate, and I was actually really diligent at 18.
Good girl.
Good girl. So when I moved out here and I had nobody, no eyes on me, no family really, and I just got to be this like wild self that nobody could judge because nobody knew me aside from my cousin, bless her heart, and she had to deal with a lot. And so that's when I made my mistakes. That's when I started making my mistakes with men and feeling how bad I felt after.
Yes.
That's when I started devaluing myself because I thought these people, well, obviously, if they have lots of friends and are, you know, booking this and that, then I must be in the right place. And and then drinking and I was just experimenting. It was that age of 21 to probably 23 or 4. And it was just this time of mistake after mistake after mistake. And after so long of like starting to not like yourself because of what you're doing, that self-hatred led to truly self-loathing, not hatred.
Yes.
Loathing led to, all right, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
And why does
don't
this
you
keep
like
happening?
it? Why are you feeling
Yes.
bad? Like, why
Yeah.
does this feel bad?
And who do I want to be?
Right.
Who really am I?
Exactly.
Apparently we're always in alignment.
Ah.
Like the thing is, it's like, again, being in that concept that there's no right or wrong. Like if you're saying, oh, I was like not in alignment, I was acting from fear, then it's constantly like re-evaluating and getting you back on the path and like you're getting the lesson and you're going, okay, I should have done it differently. Or if you were someone that was just going to live ignorantly and constantly in fear, that's like the path that you're meant to live. Like there's a bigger thing going on, right? And it's like, I just think for you, it's like going back on like now you're at such a level of awareness that you're constantly like going, oh, was that right? Was that wrong?
Almost too aware. Like,
which is fine. Like you can play in the right and wrong, but really ultimately knowing that like there is nothing bad or wrong or not in alignment. Like it's all unfolding perfectly. It really is. Like, and I try and I tell myself that, and I totally understand everything you're saying, but I'm just being the voice of reason, which is the voice I have to tell myself. But I think do believe that.
Yeah.
Like I really, even like going back on what we opened up with, it's like I wasn't in alignment. I was doing the work on following my truth over fear, and then I'm grabbing for the relationship, but like that dismantling and pain and fucking figuring it all out in what I went through in doing that, and then, you know, going through a divorce has been one of the biggest expandings of self that I've ever gone through. And the same as an eating disorder, right? It's why we say like, congratulations, because like there was no mistake, there was no wrongdoing in that. If you're on a conscious path, and I think that's the difference. If you're not just living in ignorance and you don't have like an intention of goodness, you know, to some degree, then, you know, then there's nothing that can really go wrong.
This is what Jess and I, this is the biggest thing that we want to create. If we haven't told you a million times already, guys.
I love it.
Just the power of connection through vulnerability, honesty and authenticity. Just sharing your truth, sharing your struggles. And look, just by you sharing yours and everything that you've experienced on your journey, I've learned so much and affirmed so much sitting next to you. I know Jess has, and I hope you guys have as well.
And vice versa from both of you. I love what you're doing.
Oh,
really.
thank you. Oh, where can we find you? Where can we find you? And you don't know?
No, I'm like, I don't know. I'm on Instagram, Ashley Hart.
Yeah, that's
it.
A starting point.
It's pretty much it, to be honest. Right now, I'm really working on doing more things to be found.
Yeah,
I love it. I can't wait. Thank you, girl.
Thank you so much for watching.
Bye.
We love you.